Major, tell me a little bit more about the space race.
In 1957, the Soviet Union succeeded in launching their first artificial satellite, Sputnik, into orbit. Having been beaten to the chase by the Soviets, the US government accelerated its own space program in an effort to catch up. The following year, the space development programs of the various service branches were united to form the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA. That same year, the Mercury program was launched with the goal of putting a man into space. 7 candidates were chosen from the military as the first astronauts. These were the men with the right stuff. But as you know, it was a Soviet cosmonaut, Yuri Gagarin, who made the first successful manned spaceflight 3 years ago. NASA's first successful ballistic flight came 1 month after Gagarin's mission, with the Freedom 7 carrying Alan Shepard into space. After that, with America still lagging behind the Soviets in orbital flight, President Kennedy made a momentous decision: that America would put a man on the moon before the end of the decade.
Yeah, I heard that speech, but a lot of guys I knew weren't real happy about it. They said no one was going to make them go on a mission to blow up some damn moon base.
But rocket research and missile research are closely related. Imagine, if you will, a Soviet Union able to send wave after wave of nuclear missiles raining down on Washington from a base on the surface of the moon. Even if that's still a long way from reality, if we lose the initiative, we may never get it back. We're left with no choice but to keep moving forward one step at a time. The Gemini program, launched 2 years ago, represents the initial step towards establishing a moon base. And yet, I don't want to call President Kennedy a liar, but I simply can't imagine that in 6 years man will have reached the moon.
I don't know. I never even thought we'd make it up into space. I guess it all depends on whether you have the will to make it happen.
Perhaps you're right.
I see you've caught yourself an arowana. The arowana is an ancient fish that lives in tropical freshwater areas. Because of its large size, I don't think you'll be able to capture one alive. Ancient fish like the arowana are living fossils. They've hardly changed their form since the Devonian and Jurassic periods. Other ancient fish besides the arowana include the coelacanth, the starlet, and the knifefish. Almost all organisms on Earth have evolved in various shapes and forms, but these fish have kept the same form for hundreds of millions of years. Baffling, isn't it?
Sure.
Well, I can see you're not interested.
Not at all. I'm fascinated by ancient fish.
Why?
They're supposed to be huge, aren't they?
You're wondering whether they'd make a good meal.
Yeah. So, do they?
The guide says they taste just fine for a fish.
Great.
By the way, Snake,
What?
you know the Ocelot unit commander?
Ocelot?
Yeah, that's not his real name, is it?
I wouldn't think so.
Is it a code name?
You mean like Snake?
Yeah.
Maybe. Why? Is that strange?
No, I was just wondering why he's called Ocelot.
Why's that?
Well, I looked it up, and it turns out the ocelot is a wild cat whose habitat stretches from the southern U.S. down to northern Argentina. They live in a variety of different environments, from tropical rainforests to savannas. The biggest ones can grow up to 1 meter in length. They're normally solitary creatures, and their diet consists mainly of small animals and fish. During the day, they sleep up in the trees, but at night...
Yeah, paramedic.
Oh, right. So the ocelot is an animal that lives on the American continent. But then I wondered, why would a Soviet officer be using the name of an American wildcat?
Good question. Maybe it's because he's fast and agile like an ocelot.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
But why'd you go to all the trouble of looking it up?
Because I was curious. Was it helpful?
Sure.
Tell me something, Snake. Why did you let Ocelot get away?
I thought I told you already.
Because he's still a kid?
Yeah,
Pretty lame excuse if you ask me.
you think so?
Yeah, I do.
Maybe you're right.
The crevice... Snake, have you heard about the massacre that happened in the forest near the village of Gnezdovo?
The Katyn Forest Massacre, right?
During World War II, the German army came upon the bodies of 4,000 dead Polish in the forest of Katyn.
Yeah, Germany blamed the Soviet Union, but the Soviet Union denied it, blaming Germany in return.
The truth is that Stalin ordered the NKVD to carry out the killings. And it's not just Katyn. In places like Western Ukraine and Belarus, there must have been at least 20,000 Poles in the prison camps.
Why are you telling me this?
Volgin was one of the people responsible. He was one of the vicious leaders behind it.
Volgin was?
He blamed it on a prisoner revolt to allay any fears and requested they be put to death. I've heard that Volgin even removed the blindfolds from each prisoner before he beat them to death.
I knew he wasn't all there in the head, but this...
Not someone you could be friends with.
You say there are attack dogs? Those attack dogs are Great Danes. The breed is originally from Germany. They've been used for hundreds of years as hunting dogs. As you can see, they're very large, strong too. They've got a calm yet courageous temperament, and on top of that, they're extremely intelligent. In some cases, a trained Great Dane can be more dangerous than a human opponent. Watch out for them.
Interesting.
Forget it, Snake.
Forget what?
You were thinking about how they taste, weren't you?
I wasn't thinking...
Don't lie to me. I could tell by the look on your face.
You can't see my face.
No, but I can imagine it. Don't you dare think about trying to capture an attack dog. You hear me?
Yeah.
Snake, be careful of those attack dogs.
Don't worry. I know how dangerous they are.
No, you're the one who's dangerous.
Me?
Those dogs are just innocent animals, even if they've been trained to kill. You shouldn't hurt them unless you have to.
But...
You know, humans and dogs have been living together for 50,000 years ever since the Stone Age. Sure, they make good pets and watchdogs, but they also help us out in a variety of different fields. Not just as police and army dogs, but as hunters, shepherds, rescuers, and seeing eye dogs. They deserve our respect.
I know what you mean. I'm a dog sled fan myself.
In the future, many of the jobs that dogs do now will probably be taken over by machines. They'll have miniature unmanned reconnaissance vehicle and security systems. And in the 21st century, I'll bet they'll even be selling robot dogs as pets.
You've got to be kidding.
But even if that happens, dogs will still be our most trusted companions.
Unmanned recon vehicle. That's a pretty scary thought.
Well, for now, trained dogs are the best they've got. Snake, it says here you can catch maroon sharks in that area. The maroon shark is found mostly in Southeast Asia, but it's not actually a shark. It's related to the carp. It's also known as the red-finned cigar shark, the river barb, and the sultan fish.
Interesting. So how does it taste?
According to the guide, it's good, but it's kind of oily and it has a lot of little bones.
Fine with me. I never worry about the little things.
So I gathered. Snake, that area is home to the Kenyan mangrove crabs. The Kenyan mangrove crab is a land-going crab. It lives in burrows dug near seashores and mangrove swamps. It's not poisonous, but it might hurt a little if it attacks you with its pinchers. Treat it with caution.
Got it. So this thing must taste pretty good, huh?
Why do you say must?
It's a crab, isn't it?
It is.
And crabs are good to eat.
What's so good about them?
You don't like crab?
Not at all.
Why not?
Why? How can you eat those things? They're all purple and yellow striped, and they stink like cat pee. But that's just my opinion. Don't listen to me. Let's see here. The guide says... No way. It says they're delicious. Well, if you want to eat one, then go right ahead, but count me out. Eat food.